Venezuelans were not known to be foreigners. We never left Venezuela. Very few of us left Venezuela for whatever reason. I do feel myself as a Canadian. Yes, I do. In my interior, I'm still Venezuelan. I could never deny that. With my accent, with my face, the way I behave is very Venezuelan. Living in a country like Canada, that was never in our radar whatsoever, because Canada was very remote. Now, thank God we chose Canada. Or Canada chose us, actually, when these oil companies from Canada went down south to Venezuela to interview us. Beautiful people, beautiful country. I would say they are similar to us Venezuelans. They just speak English, that's all it is. My name is Lino Carrillo. I was born in Venezuela long ago, back in the ~58. My family is, my closest today is my wife and my two kids, Norris, Jessica, and Lino Enrique, and myself. That's who we are. I started working in the oil industry in 1981 until I was fired, illegally fired in March of 2003. Most of it was in the refining industry. And then I became part of the downstream division of the oil Petróleos de Venezuela. Following my dad's step, because he always said, if you're going to go to the oil industry, work for this company. And so I did.
Lino para mí es un hombre de un carácter muy fuerte, con visiones bien definidas, ama a su familia como ama a su país.
I never wanted to leave Venezuela, but also had to think about my family and the future of my kids. So I applied just for the heck of it in March of 2004. They called me and they made me an offer. And I said, listen, I don't have any other options. If I stay in Venezuela, I'm going to get in jail. I wasn't looking for anything else, so that was the only option I had. The national strike was a consequence of many events that were happening at the time in Venezuela. It all started with the government led by Hugo Chavez messing with the oil industry by placing generals in commanding positions. Not so much on the ministerial side, but also on the operational side of things. That's what happened in PDVSA. People who were aligned with the political mind, the intent of that communism that was brewing, they were promoted from a sergeant level all the way to director level. 22 of us decided to found a non-governmental organization called Gente del Petróleo, the people of the oil industry, just to defend the intent of the nationalization law in such a way that it was always independent of any political influences. And then there was a general strike called by the biggest labor union in Venezuela. It was not an oil strike, it was a general strike where most of us joined on a personal note. So we walked out of our jobs on December 2nd. The government stopped the gates from us coming back. Some people wanted to come back by not allowing the right people go back into the industry. Then the industry started shutting down on its own. The largest labor union, they decided unilaterally to call the strike off. But by that time, they had already fired around 20,000 of us through newspaper ads. Everybody supported us at the beginning in December, but then the rest of the country gave their back on us. They said, well, you guys lost and move on, and that was it. We thought that by expressing ourselves and keep on acting the same way, we would have kind of woken up the whole country, and we failed to do that, definitely. If I had the chance to do it again, I would do it again, no doubt about that. I don't have any regrets whatsoever of what I did. They started persecuting everybody to the point that the 20,000 people that they fired were blacklisted. We were not allowed to work any place, anywhere, against all human rights. Every time you were looking for a job, or that they were to provide a contract to any company, they will identify us and say, if that person is in the list, then you won't get the contract. The industry was in bad shape because it all was, pretty much everything was shut down. Because they fired about 50% of the labor force, the workers, the guys who actually open, close valves and fix equipment. 80% of the executives and about 70% of all the technical. To me, it's not an oil company. The fact that you produce oil doesn't mean that you're an oil company, and that's what it is today. It is their mistake. They don't have qualified people running those dangerous operations, and that's why they have the situation they have today. There were 25 Venezuelan families, including mine, that landed at the same time. We started sharing each other. We didn't know each other from Venezuela. We all knew that we came from the oil industry, kind of share the same values. All of us were fired from the oil industry, so we had a common background. And we saw ourselves like in a new country. We didn't know what to expect, so we became together, family away from home. So how do we keep the Venezuelan spirit in our kids? We show the youngers, that the younger kids who have been born in Canada, who have never lived in Venezuela, we show them what Venezuela is like. We put the music, the songs. We do festivals, which is a celebration the way they do it back home, which is the gaiteros, the groups, the bands that play the gaitas. They start playing from the evening on the 17th of November, and they play all night long until the sunrise. Venezuelans, regardless of all the issues that we see there today, we're still a happy bunch. So that's what we did. It's just to keep the flame of being Venezuelan, the roots, fresh in the kids that have never experienced it. And it's a joyful moment, the way Canada has accepted us being Venezuelans the way we February 26, 2003, they issued an arrest warrant against 7 of us. Most of us founders of the NGO, Gente del Petróleo. That's what they do. They make fake proofs and all of that. They put a case against you, they put you in jail, and then they forget about you, like we've seen with many that are in prison today in Venezuela. Political prisoners, they're called. Treason to the country, conspiracy to interrupt the oil supply, espionage, extreme crimes that have the highest penalty in the Venezuelan system. I was always clear in my perspectives as to this is not right, but I was never ever conspiring to commit any murders, to stop production. We just worked out our jobs. I was an office manager looking into the future, so how could I be blamed for stopping oil coming out of the ground and being refined? That wasn't enough, and then I sent a guest to the Interpol, because that's what they do. That's what they've done with everybody that has left the country to safeguard themselves and their families. So they put us in Interpol, but then Interpol never acted on it. I guess because of the first crime that they accused us is treason to the country. And that is, in nature, is a political crime. So I don't know what happened in 2011 proper, that those charges were raised within Interpol. I don't know what kind of arguments the government changed. We started to encounter issues in different countries in the world. I was the only one that hadn't been exposed to that. We decided to cross the border and see if I was in trouble or not, because I was a Canadian, and the government of Canada, I guess they understood. I got detained when we were crossing the border with the US, and I was detained like I was a criminal. I guess that was the Interpol mandate. You grab them and send them back to Venezuela to be processed for charges. But I entered the US with my Canadian passport. So all they had to do is just send me back to Canada. That's what they did. I immediately then hired some human rights lawyers. I just wanted to make sure that whatever the government was doing, the Venezuelan government, would not impact my Canadian citizenship, because I always told the Canadian government who I was, and they knew better. It was deemed, like my case, was definitely a political persecution. I wanted to test that, even though I may have seemed calm and steady. It's always a concern, that they will catch you for something that you've never done. So it was a different experience this time. So I'm considering myself free again.
Regresar a Venezuela, para mí en estos momentos es algo utópico. Lino sí regresaría a Venezuela con los ojos cerrados. Él, si es posible, mañana mismo se regresaría a Venezuela. Yo lo pensaría un poco más, y siempre se lo digo. O sea, tenemos que estar seguros de que realmente no lo vayan a meter preso al llegar. Eso por una parte, la parte política. Ahora la parte familiar, pero mis hijos están aquí y creo que van a hacer su vida aquí. Van a continuar aquí, no se van a regresar a Venezuela. Es difícil para mí.
Everything that I've done, joining the general strike, then moving to Canada as a family, it was a joint decision between Maurice and I. The kids will follow us, and they did follow us. For us, we always stayed together. Do we talk about it? We don't. It's just in the past, and we always look towards what is next in our lives. So that is what it's tough about living here, having made our lives again, and then seeing what's happening in Venezuela. It actually hurts you. But I'm remain positive. Eventually that will cease to exist, and then I should be able to go and help just rebuild the country, basically. We feel passion for our country. We feel passion for our customs, our music. So that's being Venezuelan, it's being happy, being cheerful, and being proud of where you come from and what you're made of. Venezuela will come out of this, I'm sure. Can we rescue? For certain. Venezuela is full of resources, and the main one is its people. We are people that have fought against the Spaniards for the war of independence. We fought against the right dictatorships, and we will fight these guys, and we will come out as survivors, but stronger. When everything falls down in Venezuela, this corrupt government, then whether we will go back there or not, I will. I will buy a house near the beach, that's my love. So, and then I will retire between 6 months in Canada and 6 months in Venezuela. So now my thinking is, so I will go back definitely, but how? Will I be there on a leave without pay for a couple of years to help make the country back on its feet? It's a big struggle inside of me. How would that look like when the time comes? If it comes when I'm still healthy and alive.